Himeno is one of my favorite characters in Chainsaw Man, so I wanted to make a video of my own interpretation of her and what she represents in Chainsaw Man's story. To a lot of people, Himeno seems like an unserious drunkard whose only purpose in the story was just to get Denji in bed, but there's so much to her character that I feel some people, especially online, miss out on. For instance, she's the first in Denji's adult life to see him as an actual person and respects him like she would any other person, and wanted a bond where they could help each other with their problems. She's also the only character that was close to Aki and let us in on a side of him we hadn't seen at that part in the story. A side that revealed his morals, why he hates devils, and what his goal in life is. She also puts on a strong face as she's been through the ringer with devil hunting, having to cycle in and out of new partners, to dealing with the aftermath of said partners' deaths and having nobody to turn to. And finally, she gives her life away in order to protect the ones that she loves, knowing most of them would probably forget about her. And as subtle as it is, she heavily impacts the dynamic between Aki, Denji, and Power. Aki, now having nobody like Himeno around, seeks comfort within Power and Denji, and Denji becomes a bit more empathetic towards Aki after watching him cry while reminiscing his memories with Himeno. The Eternity Devil arc is not only the first major arc of Chainsaw Man, but it's the arc that introduces Himeno into the story, and in my eyes, takes the role as the main character. It also represents the main theme of this section, that being cycles, as both Himeno's character and the literal arc itself are set around endless cycles waiting for someone to break. There are many flashbacks throughout the arc, and I'll start with the flashback scene in chapter 16, which shows us the bulk of Aki and Himeno's dynamic when it was just the two of them together. We learn Himeno had gone through 6 other partners before meeting Aki, all of them unprepared for devil hunting and perished because of it. She's numb to meeting a 7th person and wastes no time asking Aki if he'll be useful or worthless. The useful ones like herself and Kishibe get to live, while the rest of them decorate the cemetery that they're standing in. "Don't you die, Aki" is a quote we hear in both past and present in Himeno's scenes, and to me, it's both a statement and a request. The statement being Aki to, of course, not die, but the request comes from her wanting someone to come into her life and stick around, so she's freed from her cycle of death that looms over her. This cycle is stapled into her, however, as she has a contract with the Ghost Devil, which takes pieces of her body in exchange for Himeno to wield its power. It's sad and ironic. Himeno wants Death to stop following her, but has grown so numb to the point where she willingly gives herself to a devil that represents the departed. The next flashback brings us just a bit further in time to see a slightly older yet non-top knotted Aki and a long-haired Himeno on break. I want to point out that in this scene we start to see Himeno's eagerness to get Aki to smoke. It's not just the smoking itself I'm pointing out, but Himeno inviting Aki to join her cycle of having someone new under her shoulder, learning their goal of killing the gun devil, just to end in their demise. Aki pushes away from this cycle by not taking the cigarette at this moment. The flashback continues with Himeno and Aki on the street when her late partner's girlfriend spots, confronts, and slaps her. Himeno takes this right on the chin and just freezes up, but without any pressure she tells Aki that she's accepted this portion of the abuse and takes it in like lungs and oxygen. She's ready to move on with her life when Aki pushes away from her cycle once again and sticks gum on the girlfriend as revenge. In the final flashback for this chapter, we see Himeno and Aki sitting down having lunch, and she finally realizes Aki will be here to stay, so she offers him the cigarette once again. Aki reluctantly takes the cigarette, allowing himself to be one with Himeno's cycle and abandoning his own of revenge, claiming this will be the only cigarette he'll ever smoke, until chapter 35 shows us what happens after the flashback in 16 is cut off. Aki tells Himeno she's terrible for allowing a minor to smoke, and without hesitation she takes it back, telling him he can have it when he's older and in need of something to take the edge off. Himeno is very overprotective of Aki as well. She begins to depend on him while still being a bit fearful over whether or not he'll live. When Kobeni accidentally stabs him, her mind instantly flashes to the grave of her 6 former partners. And when he wants to use the sword to get them out of eternity, she bluntly tells him no. A quote that Kishibe tells Himeno and then passes on to Aki is, "The devil hunters that devils fear the most aren't the strong or the brave. They're afraid of the ones with a few screws loose." Now, do I believe Himeno wasn't genuine when she said that? Absolutely not. I do believe she meant that at the time. However, I feel like she was self-sabotaging her relationship with Aki, as despite knowing Aki was capable of protecting himself, she still can't shake the feeling of death looming over him. And finally, we move to the letters that she sent to her sister. We see them evolve from being about family to her relationship about Aki, mostly writing whenever she annoyed him, to the final one that we see. In the final letter, we see a defeated Himeno doubting herself and believing she can't continue with public safety, questioning whether or not she should leave. But she doesn't want to run by herself. She wants to get Aki out with her, so both of them break their cycles together. But as we saw a few chapters prior to this, Himeno couldn't get Aki out with her. Her dream of running away with him and leaving all this devil nonsense behind just wasn't possible. So she gave her life away as one final push to protect Aki, one final lesson to him that anyone can go at any moment, no matter if you look up or down at them. And while this does break Himeno's cycle, it only reinforces Aki's quest for revenge. And if you read the manga, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've already mentioned Kishibe telling Himeno the quote, but I want to hone in on what surrounds this sequence. This time, Kishibe is the secondary character in Himeno's flashback, and he installs this fear into her about Aki being the one to bring up the Devil Hunter quote, and Himeno tries telling him that Aki is different, his goals separating him from the others who died underneath her, but Kishibe doesn't bite at this and only reiterates that they all have the same dream, they're all sane, and they'll all be picked off in the exact same manner. Himeno doesn't directly respond to the quote, but just pokes at Kishibe for drinking a bit too much, which he justifies and plants the seed that'll lead to Himeno's dependency on alcohol. We also see Himeno at her absolute worst through Denji, being so desperate for any kind of companionship that she'll take the new guy home, get blackout drunk, and try to have sex with him just to feel something, all the while venting about Makima telling Denji to just get over that bitch. This is the part I feel some people don't get with Himeno, her jealousy. At her absolute worst, she shows a vulnerable side to herself, someone who envies another for getting all the attention and care while doing nothing to deserve it. Makaba didn't have to watch 6 of her partners die, she didn't have to cry over anyone, and she certainly didn't carry any mental burden on her shoulders. Yet people like Aki are still love struck with her, while Himeno sulks, suffers, and puts on her mask every morning. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Himeno was the first person to see Denji as an actual human being and treated him as such. And their interaction after that drunken night is one of my favorite moments in the manga. They share genuine smiles together, eat breakfast, and set an alliance to help one another. Himeno even invites Denji to bring Power and Aki with them. The Hayakawa family and Himeno, a group that could have been strong, but Himeno's empathy ran her dry, and she died hoping Aki would even care enough to cry for her.